didn't need more discipline. I needed to rewire that part of me that always kept self-destructing. I need to say this as straight as I can, because if I soften it, you'll miss it. I didn't turn my life around by working harder. I didn't fix myself with motivation. I didn't win by reading another book or setting goals. You can see all the books behind me there. None of it did that. I did all of that already and reading already and trying to improve, and I was still destroying myself. I worked hard, I trained, I grafted. I had periods where life looked good from the outside looking in. And then I'd sabotage myself every single time. Drugs, arguments, fights, crime, burning bridges, blowing money, pushing people away, doing something stupid when I knew it was stupid. And then I'd sit there afterwards hating myself, asking myself the same question over and over again. What the fuck is wrong with me? So if you've ever sat there and asked yourself that, then this video is for you. Because the problem wasn't that I didn't know what to do. The problem was that something inside of me kept pulling me back to chaos, no matter how hard that I tried to move forward. And until I dealt with that, nothing changed for long. No change was permanent, and it didn't stick and didn't compound long enough because I wasn't consistent. So here's the part that nobody talks about. Here's what people don't tell you about self-sabotage. It's not random. It's not bad luck. It's not because you're lazy, and it's not because you're broken. It's patterned, it's predictable, and it's driven by something that's running underneath your conscious effort. I could easily have a good week, maybe even a good month, momentum building, life's looking exciting. Then I'd get restless, uncomfortable, and I'd feel off for no clear reason. So I'd crumble it all. I'd start using drugs, pick a fight, self-destruct, do something that I knew would ruin things and just cause everything to blow up. And do you want to know the worst part? I'd watch myself do it. I wasn't fully unaware. I wasn't unconscious. I was complicit in my own demise. That's the part that messes with your head so much and makes you question yourself. You're not out of control. You're not stupid. You're just obeying a pattern that was written a long time ago. And effort alone doesn't overwrite it. So here's exactly why hard work wasn't enough. This is where a lot of men get stuck. They think, if I just discipline myself some more, this will all just stop. So they train harder, work longer, set stricter rules, push harder. And for a while, do you know what? It all works. Until it doesn't. Because discipline just sits on top of identity, and identity sits on top of your conditioning. Because I was disciplined, I could suffer, I could grind, I was a boxing champion, successful salesman. But underneath there was this belief system quietly running the show. I don't deserve good things. If things go well, something bad is coming too. Chaos feels familiar, peace feels unsafe, and I'm more comfortable in survival, hustle, grind mode, committing crime. I didn't think these thoughts consciously, but they definitely showed up as behaviour. And the behaviour always tells the truth. So here's the loop that I was trapped in for so long. Here's exactly how it's played out over and over again. I'd work hard, things improve, improvement creates pressure, pressure creates discomfort, discomfort triggers old coping patterns, drugs, drama, self-sabotage, then shame, then self-hatred, then promises that I'm going to do better and do it better next time, and then repeat. And every time I failed, I didn't just lose progress and lose time, I reinforced the belief that I was the problem. And that belief sank deeper. That's the trap. The harder you try without addressing the root, the more the proof collects up that you can't be trusted and you've got no self-respect. And once you don't trust yourself, everything feels fragile and you can't make any true lasting change. Here's the brutal truth that I had to face. This is the part that most men avoid. I wasn't sabotaging my life because I hated myself. I was sabotaging my life because my nervous system was addicted to familiarity. Chaos felt normal, drama felt alive, pain felt known, calm, stability, consistency, those felt completely foreign, almost dangerous, so my body would just pull me back to what it recognised, even if it hurt. Now that's not a mindset problem, that's conditioning. And if you don't fix your conditioning and your subconscious programming by just thinking harder, and that's exactly why I turned to subconscious reprogramming. I didn't start all this subconscious work because it was trendy. I didn't even believe in it properly when I first started. And to be honest, I thought it sounded a bit woo-woo a bit soft, a bit weird, a bit scammy, but I was that desperate enough just to tell this voice in my head that kept self-sabotaging me to shut up, because nothing else had ever worked long term. Subconscious reprogramming wasn't about the affirmations or pretending that everything was fine. It was about one thing: interrupting the patterns that ran my behaviour when I wasn't thinking, my beliefs, my thoughts, my habits. Because that's where self-sabotage lives, not in logic, in plans or in motivation. It lives in that reflex, them automatic actions that you do without realising it. And here's the moment it clicked. There was a moment where it all finally made sense, and I realised I wasn't ruining my life when things were bad. I was ruining it when things were getting better. That's not laziness, that's fear. Fear of stability, fear of responsibility, fear of becoming something new and actually becoming successful. And fear doesn't respond to willpower, it responds to safety. And my system didn't feel safe being successful, so it pulled me back. The subconscious work was about teaching my body and my mind that growth was not a threat. It was actually something I wanted. So here's what actually changed. It wasn't overnight. There was no magical lightning bolt moment, but slowly something shifted. The urges didn't disappear immediately, but they lost power. The gap between impulse and action widened. I started noticing, I don't actually want to do this. This is old. This isn't me anymore. Then that gap is everything. And that's exactly where choice lives. Because beforehand, there was no gap. It was just a reaction. I'd just self-sabotage or do some crazy shit without even thinking about it. But here's an unexpected side effect. Here's something nobody told me. Once the self-sabotage slowed down, something else happened. I had to actually face myself without the noise. No chaos to distract me. No drama or arguments to hide behind and keep me distracted. No substances, drugs and alcohol to numb things. And that was so uncomfortable. But it was also where the real self-trust and self-belief started. Because for the first time, I wasn't constantly cleaning up my own mess and drama that I've caused myself. And that builds confidence faster than any motivational speech ever will. So why you might need this too. If you sat there reading this and thinking, I work so hard, but I should be further, or somehow I keep on doing it. I know better, but I still make the same mistakes over and over again. I don't trust myself enough to follow through. This is not a discipline problem. This is an identity and a conditioning problem. You don't need more pressure. You need fewer internal conflicts. And that only happens when subconscious patterns get addressed. So this is where most men just quit. Most men won't do this work because it's hard. Not because it's impossible, but because it's confronting. Because it forces you to look inside. You can't outlift it, you can't out-earn it, you can't out-hustle it, you can't out-logic it. You have to actually sit with yourself long enough to rewire what's running you and actually become aware of the wiring that's running within inside you. That's why so many men stay stuck at a certain level, no matter how capable they are, because they're fighting themselves and they're fighting a battle that they don't even realise they're fighting. So you're probably asking, how does this fit into the system that I use with my clients? This isn't something that I do instead of training, structure and discipline. This is the thing that actually helps to make those things stick. Because subconscious reprogramming is one of the pillars of a wider daily system. Physical training, mental structure, identity reinforcement, non-negotiables. Because without addressing the sabotage layer, everything else leaks. That's why I include this in the free system that I use with all my private clients. Not because it's sexy or because it's magical or fancy, but because it works. So here, let me talk about the choice that you're avoiding. I'm just going to be blunt with it and say it exactly how it is. I'm sure you'd appreciate that. You can keep blaming circumstances. You can keep saying this is just how I am. You can keep trying harder and wondering why it never lasts. Or you can admit this to yourself. Something in you is protecting the old version of you. And it will keep winning until you confront it. That confrontation isn't dramatic. It's quiet, daily, uncomfortable. But yeah, it's incredibly freeing. So if you're still watching this, this is for you. This video didn't just land on you today because I'm special. The algorithm knew that you needed it, and you've stayed this far in the video because you recognize the pattern. And it's the recognition of the beginning of change. If you don't run away from it and get scared. So if you want the free system that I use with my private clients, free, which includes the mental, physical and subconscious structure that stop me sabotaging my own life, then click the link in the bio and download it for free, or comment the word blueprint and I'll send it through. No pressure, just a free framework that actually holds when motivation disappears, which it always does. And if you've got questions, ask them. I've lived this, I didn't read about it. Go to my Instagram or my LinkedIn or my Facebook and message me. I reply to every single one, because I didn't become disciplined because I became a better man. I became a better man because I stopped fighting the parts of me that were wired for survival and taught myself a new way to live. That's the real work. And once you do that, everything else finally has something solid to sit on and stick to. So if this video made you uncomfortable, or I said something that pissed you off or made you uncomfortable, then good. That's where the real choice starts. So I'll see you in the next video, but don't bother clicking on the next video if you're not going to get a free copy of the system that changed my life and so many of my clients' lives. Let's fucking have it.